Okay.
All right. Namaste. Welcome to this Saturday morning in Washoe Valley, communicating to all of you wherever you are in the world. I'm Satri, and this lady is
Satchamayi. And thank you for joining us again.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So, Satchamayi, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the programs that we have coming up. We're going to cover some of these practical things before we step into today's talk.
Okay. So as most of you know, we're having to cancel all our in-person programs that are coming up within the next month or 2 months. Beyond that, we will not make a decision until we see how things are going. So for those of you who were signed up to join us in Washoe Valley for the 9-day, we will miss you. However, I know that you have been invited to join with Satri online, and then we've also now set it up for other people to join online for the 9-day. I'd like to Satri to talk about what it is to work with him live online in a program like that.
So just so you know, it's my experience that it depends upon where you are. That means if you are in touch with your divine self, the more the distance and the time makes less difference. And the less in touch with yourself, the more the distance and time makes a difference. So it's for each of you to see what is the value. My experience is that remote programs, especially if people are gathered together remotely, gets most of the value of being with me physically. And of course, I would rather be with you physically, and of course, vice versa. But in this particular case, it still is a transmission. It still is able to enter into that eternal quality of yourself. And even though the surface personality cannot perhaps know it as well, it is still doing the work in the unfolding of that divine reality within yourselves. So I very much encourage you to continue to participate wherever you can, even if it is remotely for now, because there's an advantage with the continuity, where if there's a gap, then there is a recovery period to bring you back to where you were before and to pick up the continuity. So the structure of all my teachings has been based on creating a continuity, because my path is taking you somewhere. It's a journey of stages, not just any one kind of experience or another kind of experience. So this is the one way that I think we can provide you during this period, this very critical transitional period for mankind, a way of keep in touch with yourself at the level of the recognition of the peril and our purpose for being together amidst this peril.
Okay. So going back to the 9-day, for those of you who decide to join us online, we will be breaking everybody up into groups. So it would be as if you are in an in-person 9-day, but you will be doing this live online. Satri will be live online for the meditations and for all of the talks that he will be doing. Wherever you are located, you will be put into a remote group of 6, probably up to about 6 people with a trainer. So you will get all the same benefit that you would have had if you had come here to Lake Tahoe, except for you won't have the beautiful lake.
And you won't pay for the airfare.
That's true. And it's much more, it's not as expensive. So if you were not signed up for the 9-day, please go online and look to see what you can find out about the 9-day. There's a whole section on that will tell you how to sign up and what to do. The other things that
I'd like to just stay with that a little bit.
Okay.
The advantage of this also is we're not limited by the number of people.
Yeah.
So this provides us as a collective shared consciousness to be in touch with each other in a broader sphere. And I do believe that is what this crisis is asking for us to do. It's asking us to come into a deeper and more immediate relationship with that divine reality. And everything is set up for that to happen, in fact, because you can't go outside, you can't go to work, you can't do all the usual things. So it's a perfect time for us collectively to come together and strengthen the possibility of us playing a role in the collective shift that's trying to happen.
Okay. So just letting you know what else is coming up. We will have a World Peace Meditation led by Sat Shri on March the 31st, and it will be at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So it will be, of course, a different time depending on where you live. But you just go to satshri.org, go on to the online programs, and you'll see where to sign up. At this point, all of these are for free. The other thing that we have coming up on next Saturday is we are going to be doing a global live intensive. There is a charge for this. It will be a 4-hour program. Normally we do intensives from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. We realized it wasn't really feasible to do that. So this will be 11 to 3 p.m. And it will be, again, live online. We have an opportunity to come in and ask Satri questions and participate with the whole group. So again, we're really encouraging everyone to stay as connected as you can. And, you know, we'd love to see you. So, okay.
All right.
And I think that's probably good for right now. Thank you.
And I thought I would expand a little bit on what we can do. What role do we have to play in this crisis that is impacting the entire world, this coronavirus crisis? And I believe that what is being asked of us as the awakened component of our species is to become greater and more effective channels and instruments for the incarnation force to come into the collective consciousness. So this is a time to go inward. This is a time to set up a structure in your life that supports this inward movement, because the world is asking you to pull away outwardly. So it's the universe is pointing the direction to what to pay attention to rather than where we usually go with our attention. And this attention that we give to that quality of the truth within us is what makes it real. This very core principle of what we are is the reality creator. And its expression is the attention that we give to that within our own bodies, within our own experience, within our own awareness. So this is a very clear recognition that the universe is asking something of those of us who are awakened to turn into a more deep and integral relationship with the divine reality that lives us. There is no greater work. There is nothing else you could do out there that could compare to those of you who are connected in some way to your awareness or experience with the divine reality which is in here. And this is our shared place. From this place, there's no separation between me and you. When you're in this place with me, you're also in this place with you. And when you're in this place with you, you're also in this place with me and with all who are connected to me. This characteristic of the Sangha, of the community that surrounds the spiritual teacher, is a very powerful principle, because the more attention is given to this possibility, the more it empowers each other to experience that possibility, to awaken to that possibility within themselves. So my suggestions on how to do this are really quite practical. It's my experience that consciousness loves structure, that it will organize itself around structure. And that structure needs to be intelligent. It needs to be aware of times to attend and times to step back and integrate. So my invitation to all of you is, if you haven't already, that you take the time that you normally had to give away to the necessity of your outer life, and you use it to create a daily routine for yourself. Now, this daily routine can be just for yourself, or it can be with others who you're connected to remotely. where you meditate in the morning and you meditate in the evening, at least 45 minutes. The invitation is, what else are you going to do with your time? So why not go for an hour and a half? And in between, when you back off from the meditation, you go into your day, you make your breakfast, you get your exercise, whatever are the now much less requirements of your life. You do that, and then you come back and you go into an inquiry, whatever way that might look for you. My recommendation for those of you who are connected to me is to write the Bhagavad Gita. That book carries a power that when you write it, actually enters into your body and empowers your ability to align with the scaffolding of the teachings in a way that will become more and more real in this period of time where we're collaborating consciously to bring the quality of our shared consciousness into the collective consciousness. And you'll see how relevant the Gita is during such times. Okay. And then there are other things that could be done. You can be watching these videos live and participating. You can meditate in the middle of the day. For example, many of you, there is already a tendency to be meditated. That means the meditation moments occur in your day. Or that may show, instead of pulling you inward, it puts you outward, where you sit outside and you're in nature and you're connected to the Brahmanic field that empowers all existence. Any of these and all of these can bring you into a more direct connection to the divine reality that you live. And that's the role, the most effective and the most powerful role we can play together.
Where's your paper?
Just a second.
Yeah.
So I want to speak now to something that I talked about last Sunday on the opportunity and the peril and the possibility that we're going through right now. So I have, well, a couple of things I want to say. The first I want to say is where we are is we're in the Mahabharata. We have entered into the battlefield of Kuru. We are in the same place where the Gita starts as a species. This is perhaps the reason I was born, perhaps the reason you were born, perhaps the reason every spiritual awakened person was born, is to be present on this battlefield. And in the Gita, the battlefield is called the Kuru. And the Kuru is the field where the Dharma and the Karma come together for the purpose of reestablishing Dharma. The Mahabharata has always come during periods of transition, periods of darkness, periods where the cumulative error of the species has come to such a point that mankind has lost connection to that natural law, the natural order that allows for a sustainable human existence. We have lost touch with our embodiment. We have lost touch with this precious vessel that we all have been graced with our birth. And in the process, we've lost our connection to that umbilical cord that links us to the mother, the world mother, of which we are all her children. And if we were able to have stayed in connection with our body, we would automatically recognize the imbalance. And for those of us who have been able to re-embody, that imbalance becomes apparent to you, not only in the way you've been living, but in the way the world has been living. We step out of the mind's understanding. We step out of the analysis and the rationality of the era that we live in. Certainly it's gotten us to this point, but we need to tap into another kind of knowing. Something that comes from a wisdom of the heart, a sense of felt connection with nature, with life, with fellow human beings, and with a quality of knowing that comes inherent in the body, a recognition in the very fabric of the structure of our physicality and all the components that go with it, the ability to recognize truth and untruth. The ability to take action comes from the body. The body is what allows us to act. It's the vehicle by which we can come into this domain of karma, this domain of action, this domain of where dharma is trying to work itself out. And what is this that our bodies are? They're a glorious manifestation of the intelligence that's behind this entire creation. It is a participation and a precipitation and a clarification of the possibilities of existence throughout time, embodied. The more we can move into relationship with our body, the more the body awakens, the more we are actually expressions of that inherent intelligence and that principle of the world mother, where spirit and matter have come together and created this domain, this possibility of human consciousness. We are each instruments and channels. We always have been. We either transmit our vehicles for the ignorance, or we transmit in our vehicles for the wisdom and truth. We are the ones in charge. And what is that critical thing that churns it from one way to the other, from connected to disconnected? It's what we attend to. It's which we feed. And these two principles of dark and light are actually always in battle. And it actually, in one sense, the Mahabharata is going on continuously at the largest time frame imaginable in this evolutionary unfolding. And the opportunity is always for the light to gain, bit by bit, over a long, long evolutionary period, a greater authority, thus lifting up the darkness, so that matter itself starts vibrating aligned with spirit in a way that wasn't possible before. So it's what we attend to. If we attend to the darkness, we empower the darkness. It diminishes the capacity of the light to come to us. When we empower the light, it expands in its own knowing, in its own truth, and is more resistant and more capable of standing when the darkness seeks to reduce that light. So how do we do this? We do this every single day. You're doing it right now. Those of you who are paying here with me live are investing your attention to be here with me, to hear this. That's the light in you. And this light in you will come into your life. And again, obviously, the greater the light, the more the darkness becomes apparent. Will allow you to see both inward and outwardly. Where is the adharma? Where is dharma failing? Where are we not aligned with the natural order that governs this entire existence? So it's a call up to come to responsibility for the fact that the universe has found you. You are awakened because the universe has been able to enter into you in a way that could allow you to see the veils and the conditionings that have separated you from that greater reality you are. So you're already chosen. From that place comes a responsibility. It comes this ability to respond to what is coming from the world and not react. Not to get caught into fear and reactivity and frenzy with the mind and the media and whatever is happening right now in the outer world. This has its own role to play. This disruption and disturbance is actually the sign that the Mahabharata is in dynamic action. And what's happening out there? you're seeing the same thing we saw in the first chapter of Gita. They're waking up to the peril. We're all waking up to the peril as part of our lived daily reality. You can't go out in the way you could go out. All the ways that we've been habituated to be related or entertained in our lives are being pulled away. It's like a natural, the universe is doing for us what we couldn't do for ourselves. It's taking away those things that distract our attention so that that attention could go to someplace else. It's not meant for you to take that attention and convert it into a frenzy or a worry or a fear. Its purpose is to tend to that very central quality itself that attends. So there is never a greater opportunity for yoga. Never a greater opportunity. And that's why the Gita has 18 yogas. And that first yoga is where we are. And what is the dejection? We all know, those of you who have awakened, you know it's this feeling of shame, diminishment, hopelessness, despair, lost sense of purpose, the pain of bondage, the pain of what you've been living with that you've unconsciously been able to stay on top of. The grief, the anguish of the separation from the truth of yourself, living in bondage. That's the characteristic of dejection. And dejection is always evidence that an awakening is occurring. And that is where we are. We're in the midst of a worldwide awakening. Now, this has happened in other times. I have something that I've written on this, which will get posted on the website. So I'm going to use it as sort of a marker for me so I don't diverge too far. The purpose of this peril, this pandemic, is to wake us up from our slumber. As a species, we have lost sight of the natural order that has preserved and sustained life on Earth up until this era. Matter of fact, maybe these last 5 or 6 decades where it's been really clear we have lost connection to the world mother and the consequences of our action. We have lost the light of this order, what the Bhagavad Gita calls Dharma. Dharma. The purpose of this peril is ultimately to reestablish the Dharma that's been forgotten or lost or veiled. To restore the sustainable opportunity for mankind to continue to evolve. That is always why perils come. It is always what dejection is showing up for. It's its purpose. This is true in our individual life, and it's now very clearly true in the collective life of our species. And there is no other species that can do this on the planet. We're the ones. We're the ones that have to fix the error, the imbalance between matter and spirit. The human power is our ability to choose to align ourselves with the greater truth, the greater reality that would allow for us to use this transitional period to lift the collective consciousness into a more awake relationship with how to be in existence together. All awakenings have stages. This stage is not often understood. The dejection, you don't know anything. You don't know jack shit. You just know you're miserable. You just know things are going wrong. You just know it's out of control. There's no clarity. And everybody, whatever information comes in, even that would have bring clarity, you can't absorb it in a way that's useful for you. That's the nature of dejection. It's the gunas are spinning, the rajas and tamas are confused and mingled. You don't know what to do. You don't know what to not do. You're stuck. So it's experienced, and there can be what we said before, the hopelessness and the despair, but ultimately it leads to discernment, to discrimination. The yoga of discrimination, the second chapter, you begin to understand what's happening. And what is that? It's the same way scientists figure out what's happening. You look at causes and you see the effects, or you see the causes in the effects. You begin to see, oh, it's our indulgence, it's our distraction, it's our consequences of living blithely in our indulgence and in our privilege in our lives that has brought us to a point where the universe has to step in because we're not there. We're not playing our role. So then that leads us, you discern, you get some understanding, you get some recognition. This is what I'm doing with you right now. This is what the Gita has been doing for all of time of mankind, even before the Gita was written. This is an eternal process, eternal process by which all of humanity will eventually have to traverse. Not just our own spiritual awakening, it's the whole species that is in a process at different stages throughout the evolutionary period, from caveman to tribes to villages and so on and so forth, to our modern era, where much of matter has been conquered, has been converted into something that can serve us in ways that were never imagined before. But now we don't get to fly. We have to learn to fly in new ways. We have to learn to communicate in ways of a different way that we've become used to. And we also need to find what is it we have to learn to communicate with that which communicates. We have to come into relationship with ourselves in this process. By doing so, we reestablish Dharma. We do it in ourselves, and we have an impact in the collective consciousness in ways that we can't see. So how do we do this? We do it through karma, through actions. Actions are the power of the human species. Our ability to take actions outside of the determination of nature is what allows us to have something happen that would be different than what would otherwise happen. We can make choices to go down or to go up, to choose this or to do that. When we really take this power and start applying it in a purposeful way, we begin to recover a current, a purposeful current that lives within us, that goes beyond just our knowing of the reality, or the presence that lives within us, but into this dynamic capacity to meet existence in a new way, in a way that we haven't been able to or have forgotten. Karma is both action and the consequences of action. So it's the act and the effect of that action, the outcome of that action. If the outcome is positive, then the benefit comes to us. If the outcome is negative, then the diminishment comes to us, the unmet opportunity, the loss or the diminishment of that opportunity. All of life is learning how to step into the immediacy of the opportunity of existence. Every time we fail to do that, then we actually, without doing it, knowing we're doing it, we're diminishing that power within us. Learning to align ourselves with the purpose of life is what empowers us. The more we pull away from those actions that diminished us, the more empowered we are. And the more we take actions aligned with our purpose, the more we empower ourselves. So you could say, this is what yoga is. It's a purposeful action that takes us out of the quagmire of where we've been into the possibility of where we're going. So there is a relationship between karma and dharma, a direct relationship. Dharma are those actions that are aligned with the natural order. Now, we all have some of these. We feed ourselves. We take care of our children, the people that we're responsible for in our lives. We handle the practicalities. So there's a certain degree of dharma that's natural. You call it just instinctive. But we've grown into our relationship with existence where our actions are having larger impacts than we know. That who we talk to, who we interact with, especially as awakened beings, are having an effect that are beyond those where we're just fulfilling our own little personal dharma. So this nature of dharma is proportional. The quality or the vibrational field of the dharma that's available to us shifts as we awaken. And what does it shift? It becomes more expansive. It becomes more aware. It becomes more capable. It also becomes more impactful. The more we become conscious collaborators with the natural order, the more that purpose of existence, that Satchitananda current, comes to us. And thereby more are we able to affect or play a role of significance in this shift from matter to spirit. So the nature of restoring dharma is to stop taking actions that are not aligned with our purpose and instead take actions aligned with our purpose. It's really simple. And the more we take an action aligned with our purpose, the more we empower the attention that we give to this new direction. We create actually what I call intent, the ability to bring forward something that is not yet here. Now, these are all practical skills. These are all practical tools for where we are in this particular focused peril of this coronavirus pandemic. What you attend to, even with your awareness, reading the news, or what kind of experiencing you having a fear or a compassion that may arise, these are all evidence of how we are empowering what's outside of us, good or bad. And in that process, perhaps lose track to the source of that, a source of our attention, that source of the reality that lives within us. Depending upon how much obscurity we still carry, how awakened we are, relatively speaking. Dharma is those actions taken that are aligned with this natural order. These actions allow us to correct the imbalance and create a sustainable future for both us and the planet. If we do not take these actions, however, then be assured there will be more lessons coming, more perils coming, each greater than the previous, until we wake up and take the corrective actions, both individually and collectively as a species. All these lessons are the consequences of forgetting our relationship with the mother, of not living aligned with Dharma, with the natural order that allows for the sustainable evolution of mankind. So let's give an example, because that's exactly where we are in this particular peril. And that was 9/11, the attack of 9/11 in the United States. It was a similar wake-up call. It awakened us and the world to the hidden consequences of not living aligned with this natural order. The desperation, rage, and destructiveness, the hopelessness, the poverty, the ignorance, the inequality, and the insidious growth of fanaticism among the desperate and hopeless was also a wake-up call, but one we reacted to rather than truly responded to. In the process of reacting, we created over a decade a war and devastation. And yet this war and devastation did not address the problem, the cause that had 9/11 happen. Rather, we tried to kill it, to suppress the cry of those who carry the greatest burden of these imbalances. We lost the opportunity to align with Dharma. So this coronavirus is another such opportunity. Coronavirus is another such opportunity. It's a pandemic. It's got the title that says everybody is being affected. It is an evidence of the universe intervening. Once again, as a consequence of accumulated karma, because it accumulates, and then it overtakes the best of the light that had come previously. And we have to come back and meet that which we had not been able, didn't see needed to be met. Our lifestyle, our families, our communities are all being drastically disrupted. It is a war. It's a Mahabharata, comparable to the great wars of the last century. This too is a wake-up call. It is waking up the world from its slumber, calling up all of us to recognize the consequences of our assumptions, choices, and actions that we as a species have taken for granted. Our lifestyles, our choices cumulatively, as well as the role each of us has unwittingly played, have set the stage that such a simple thing as a virus can threaten the very foundation of the current world order. And like all consequences of this sort, the innocent carry the greatest share of the burden of our collective error. This is where we are. So there is something to be said about this coronavirus. It's not the cause. It is not actually the real peril. There is a greater peril behind this that is the cause of this pandemic. And that greater peril is like a tsunami. It's an elephant in the room. And every conversation any person in humanity is having, it's the coming of the consequences of man's overuse of Mother Earth's resources, the climate change, and the debris, the consequences of those ignorant actions, those unconscious actions, are now pushing forward a change of a whole nother order, which actually truly threatens the world as we've known it. And this is the climate change, the global warming. So why is this coming? Well, it's coming the same way 9/11 came. It said we cannot continue living as we have been. We have to stop poisoning the very mother that allows for humanity to exist. We have to start recognizing each of us and collectively our role in the consequences that are coming. It's a big wake-up call. It's like an alcoholic who wakes up after 10 years of drinking and discovered that he's destroyed everything of value in his life because of his addiction to alcohol. So it's our addiction to money. It's our addiction to distraction. It's our addiction to entertainment. It's our addiction to our pleasure. It's our addiction to being right and to rationalizing and justifying, controlling things. It's our addiction to the very fundamental structures of our more animalistic nature interfacing with our human nature. Because we are a transitional species. We're something between the animal and divine. And we are in the process of struggling always to come out of these more primitive instincts that we unwittingly value and cherish. Power, authority, coming from the animalistic aspects of our lives. The consequences of these have been accumulating. They have been accumulating for decades. I mean, 100, 200 years. So let's talk a bit about the World Mother. We are all children of the World Mother. She holds the Dharma for the sustainable evolution of life. These are the foundational principles of life, including the very obvious fact that we have only one spaceship, one planet, one Earth, which has innate limits, although they're vast relative to something one of us can relate to, but it is limited. One home for all of us, that we thrive when we share and work together, that each of us matters, that what each of us does or doesn't do matters, that it impacts all of us. These are all self-evident truths. If we listen to the wisdom of our heart and the knowing of our body, rather than the fear and judgment and want and need that otherwise runs our egoic personality, we can know this. If we are awake enough, then we can recognize how rare, precious, and yet fragile life is. What is it? We never thought we could harm the earth. We thought the World Mother was so much more strong and capable and powerful and abundant that we could never imagine using her up. It's actually a sign of the arcing of the evolution of our species, that we're even capable of becoming a threat to the planet itself. There has never been a time in history where this has happened, where the very planet is endangered by its children, by the species that have come from the womb of her existence. Why is this happening? It's not just that there's an error, but as inevitable evolution of consciousness among humanity to wake up. This is now one of an extraordinary level of waking up. We're waking up to our relationship with the solar system. We're waking up to our relationship with the entire creation, trying to find the principles that are behind the very foundation of the natural order, and being able to use those understandings as recognition, the body of knowledge and the skillfulness, and apply it into ways that human life can become more divine-like. And truly, it's been successful in that for a whole portion of the world. But it's not able to be sustained. We have to back off from this unwittingly blind momentum from past errors where we couldn't imagine us in any way diminishing this vast world we live in, to becoming the caretakers, the shepherds of this world, to protect and preserve the resources in such a way that all of mankind, and this is the key in this, because this is what Dharma is that all of us are in this together. No one can be left out. We can't kill off those that we don't want to be with. We can't live in a structure of separation so that we can hang on to something or get more of what we already have. We have to become like the mother herself, who's here for all her children, and that all the resources be shared as equally as possible. It's not that everyone's going to be living at the same level. That was seen in the Bhagavad Gita itself when it talked about the orders, the Brahmins and the Kshatriya and the Vaishyas and the Sudras. There are those who will not need that much from nature, and there are those who will need more from nature, proportional to how they serve Dharma. Okay. So the world has entered into the Mahabharata. This is where we are. This pandemic is just a symptom of what's coming. our ability to meet the challenge instead of react to it, not to try to kill it, but to recognize the lesson it's bringing, is critical for our ability as a species to meet the greater challenge that's right behind it. Just as was written, I don't need to say this, I already said it. So now, this Mahabharata of the Bhagavad Gita was about two aspects of the same tribe. One aspect was aligned with Dharma and the other wasn't. Arjuna was on the side of that which was aligned in Dharma. Arjuna himself didn't recognize the role he had to play in that imbalance at his time. And that's what took Krishna to inform Arjuna that he mattered and of what was happening and what was his role. And that is my work with all of you. And for those, some of you, you are able to do this work yourselves. And any awakened spiritual teacher on the planet knows at some level that he's here for a purpose greater than just awakening or enlivening a few spiritual people. We're all here for the world. We're all here for each other. That's the truth. That is the truth. When we live just for ourselves, that's not Dharma. Of course, a part of it we live for, to encourage and strengthen the opportunity of being in this body and to be useful and effective in the world. Our real purpose is to serve. This unfolding in which the Mahabharata is a marker, a transition point, a critical phase change for the entire species and really for the entire world. So in the Gita, it was two tribes, one tribe, two divisions. Here, it is for the whole world. And this division between Dharma and Adharma. The mother world carries the burden of the error of our Adharma. These are the consequences of action where Dharma is forgotten or ignored. But now this burden has become too much for her to carry. She needs us, her children, to help. She cannot do this without our conscious collaboration, lest the opportunity of humankind be lost. We are the best she has. We are her only hope. We are our only hope. Without us waking up and coming to responsibility for our role at this time, it will be impossible for her to sustain us. Yet, like all mothers, the world mother cannot control her children. They make their own choices, as all mothers learn. She can only do so much to protect them from the consequences of their actions when they do not listen to her direction. So we have a choice, each of us, but most of all, those of us who've awakened to the spiritual truth within. For we are the best the mother has. We can see beyond the narrow scope of our self-interest. We can break out of our little self and its conditioned habits of being and living. We can align ourselves, our divine nature, our universal self, and see this peril clearly and recognize the purpose that is calling us to align with. So what are we doing? What am I speaking to? What have we been doing all along since I've met any one of you from the very beginning? It was the thing that came to me in my own awakening when I recognized it wasn't about me, right from the moment of awakening, that there was a purpose greater than me and I didn't know what that was. But now I know, I've known for years. Everything I have done with you is to prepare you for this time. This time has come. This is the moment where everything that you have, all the wisdom and all the knowing and all the capacity you have as an awakened spiritual being is put to work. We're at that point. Let there be no doubt. So our purpose is to reestablish Dharma. It is to realign mankind to the fundamental truths in order to preserve the opportunity that we as a species carry. It is to reestablish truth and justice in order to nurture the awakening souls who have come to serve this purpose, many of whom do not yet know that is why they were born. Many of them have come to serve this purpose, but they do not know that is the purpose they've come for, because of the obscurity, because of the distraction, because of the plethora of opportunities to go this way or that way. But when they meet us, when they hear of us, they are called to the mission of their lives. So if you look at where this is headed, you can begin to see why we have global groups, why we have worldwide meditations, why we do now even more online programs, and this will continue. My work, the work of New Dharma, is to support you who can hear this message to do just this. It is the purpose of New Dharma to reestablish the eternal Dharma during periods of darkness, periods of transitions like the one we are in now. It is to strengthen the virtue and to destroy the error that caused the peril. I invite you to join me in this recognition that is now at this time. We must wake up and see what in us is still resisting or denying, rejecting or rebelling against what is being asked of us. To grow up, to become a partner with the world mother to correct this imbalance. So there you have it. The universe is showing us the way. We have the intelligence of the capacity. We have the resources, but as in the United States, it's not being coordinated. So for a period of time, this will be chaos because the old structures, especially the ones that have occurred in the last decade or so, have so separated us from our ability to know truth and our relationship with others and our responsibility with being in justice, in alignment with the interconnectedness that we all have with each other. Okay, so that's it. There you have it. And now it's up to you. And I will periodically coming in, reminding you of who you are and why you're here. And may you do that for everyone in your life as well. That is my wish.
So questions?
All right. How much time do we have? You were the regulator time. Okay, we got time.
We have time.
Yeah, so let's open this up for anybody who would like to share or ask questions.
Okay.
Meta, it's a different Meta than Copenhagen Meta, had written in, and she said, I had a revelation some days ago. An acute global psycho-spiritual emergency is very needed to help normal people who will experience sudden awakening to understand and integrate and hold the energy. Is that true?
Absolutely. This, what I'm speaking is already in the collective consciousness. You already know it, even if you don't know you know it. Your inner knowing knows it. So the fact that it's showing itself is a clear sign, Meta, of your capacity for aligning with this correction that is needed. Play your role. Very good.
Caroline and Rory have written in, and they said, we'd love to come on and tell everyone we've got an open community Zoom online meditation to help support people directly as we go through these times.
Very good. So what are the times for that?
It's going to be Thursdays at 9 p.m. And I spoke, Rory and I have been talking via Messenger. I'm going to be putting this up on the website along with the other options for world peace and meditations that New Dharma offers. So Rory and Caroline, thank you. Yes.
And this is what I wish for all of you. I mean, and I know that the reason we did the global training program is to support these global groups in order to create them and to bring this quality of being and this opportunity to as many people that you are already in relationship and which you may not yet know are coming to you. Because they'll come for the light. They'll be drawn to the light that you are. If you begin to speak and demonstrate in the outer life the light you bring, they will find you.
I want to make a, so Rory and Caroline are in Galway, or outside Galway, Ireland. So for those of you who want to join with them, it's 9 p.m. their time, just to make sure you understand that.
When this gets up on the website, we'll have all that clear.
Yeah.
But we have groups of this sort all over the world, and Roy and Caroline are bringing a very special quality to that group that they hold. So I am so happy. Okay.
So William Barber writes, Greta wants politicians to listen to the scientists, but is developing the inner spirit also part of it? Could Satri talk about attention to awareness?
Well, I did talk about this, and I do believe that your question is reflective of your already knowing what needs to be known. So the nature of the listening to science in this dimension, facts are truth. In the dimension of matter and cause and effect, the facts are the reality. And the more you understand the facts, the more likely you're going to be in the right relationship with reality. So for us, for our species, the science is the nearest thing we have to truth. So you better listen to science. And what we're doing is not listening to science. And why? Because we're responding to existence, or reacting to existence from our vital nature, or our physical nature, from our sensory, what we want for ourselves, or for our ambition or desire or fear, or your ideas or beliefs that are coming from our conditioning from another time, another era, that's seeking to express itself again in this time, this era, through you. But we're being asked to come to the best of what we've already been able to come to. And for all of us, the science, the facts, and our ability to gather the facts together to come to conclusions that are most reflective of the physical reality of this dimension is totally aligning with Dharma.
Okay.
Okay, so those are the questions that people had written in, and people on the broadcast are aware that they do have the opportunity to come on screen and interact with you as well. If they...
Okay, so we'll see what shows up.
Another question has come in. Okay, so this is from Caroline just outside Galway.
So funny, Caroline.
And she writes, I am experiencing a very strong urge to encourage everyone to have an intention to ground the truth consciousness that's coming in. Setting that intention when meditating will be very powerful in what's needed right now. More emphasis on this than our personal process, which will naturally occur anyway as we bring this into our bodies.
Beautiful. Thank you, Caroline. And what does it mean to ground? That means you bring it into your person. You bring it into your body. You bring it into as an experience, as an energy in your body. So intent, the power of intention, is really the recognition of a possibility that is coming. And the way to know it isn't necessarily through our intellectual understanding or even our heart's knowing. The body knows. Now, embodiment is not the same as grounding. Embodiment is something that happens as we progress on the spiritual path, where we penetrate into the hidden structures of the consequences of previous generations that we have inherited and the habits of our personal life, this life. These are all stored in our body. If we are not awake to them, then even if our intelligence is developed and clear and aware, they're coding or veiling our ability to apply that into our lives in realistic ways. So a great deal of this work is to energetically, to bring the energy of your awareness, experience of spirit into your body. Hey, look at who we got.
Yay!
There you are.
This is awesome.
You're on our stage.
The world is the stage.
This is perfect.
The world is our stage. So welcome, welcome. This is Rory and Caroline from
Outside
Galway, Ireland. We haven't seen you in a while, so we're very happy to see you.
Oh, it's so nice to hear you directly to me.
It's great. Thank you for reading out that question, Tom. The urge was just huge. I can't tell you how I'm just getting that urge to put a plea out to every single person that meditates anywhere to just literally sit with that intention to ground. It's and I hope you understood what I meant, that it's not so much now about our personal process.
Right.
That's why we're here. We're channels, and we're as clear as we all are at the moment, but we're primed to just bring that down.
You know, I suppose as well, it's like, 5 years ago in Birmingham, Satri, who would have known what was going on? But it's not about even knowing what's going on. It's about just showing up. Without
just showing up.
I don't even
to a different part of ourselves.
It was just to be in that grace allows you to get comfortable in the grace, and then you're just brought around anyway.
Yeah.
So here we are.
Yes.
We're waiting. We're waiting to be used. But we don't have to wait long when we hang around in grace. You get put to work.
That's right. The universe will find you, put you to work. Clearly, that is what's happening for you in your program. So it's exactly what we want to continue. And Caroline, what you're feeling is the awakening of you as a channel. That's the universe coming in and letting you know that when you feel the way you're feeling right now, you are a channel. And all it wants to do is communicate that quality of being into existence. And it does, just in your experiencing of it. So you're in the perfect place. You're radiating right now. It's magnificent. And look at what has happened. Our collaboration, we're both in collaboration in this moment for this time. So it's absolutely perfect. And I'm so happy to have you join us this morning.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
We'll see you again online soon.
Yes,
soon.
We'll see you online. Good. This is just the same as them coming into the room for me. Right?
So Linda Reska would like to come online.
Right.
Always takes a few minutes. You can just talk.
In teleportation.
Yeah, the teleportation. You should keep talking until she shows up.
The whole principle of embodiment.
Hey, Linda.
Linda again. Hello. Namaste. You're good at getting through.
I know.
Better than anyone else,
So
pretty
far.
much.
Aw. Well, I'm very blessed. Blessed to be with all of you. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
So I have a question about whether I'm qualified to start a meditation group. I'm especially interested in my clients I work with who are old and sick, and also caregivers. But it doesn't have to be that group. And I have this notion that I'm supposed to be in the global training program before I can do something like that.
Well, there's some things you can do now, and that is you can have silent sittings.
It's a meditation group.
Just meditation groups where you invite people to just be in their chair, be where they are, get what they get, and sit together. Now, maybe in a new group, an elderly group, maybe they can do
It's going to be online.
15 or but even so, it can be 15 minutes or 20 minutes before they go unconscious. So, the idea of keeping it relatively short, but enough that they can, over time, if they repeat it, it will bring peace. And, if you look at this frenzy, if you look at it, you can see what it needs is to step down. And where they step down to is a vibration of peace. Being able to be in their own body, here now, touch with their breath, a touch with being here. So you can do that by just simple sitting. You don't need any training. Just use your own meditation experience, share your own experience, and maybe walk them through, maybe whatever you feel might be necessary. Play a little music or a mantra, so that they can get connected to that if they're capable. And those who are will be pulled. And they're in a very tentative position right now, the older people. So I think even if they're not on the surface consciousness aware of the peril, it is creating a listening in them that is preparing them for their own transition, which is a lot closer than most of the rest of humanity. So I think this is Linda, a good thing to do. And then do the GTP, learn the world peace meditation. And once you've established it, then you can teach it not just for the people you work with, but for the community of people that you know or that you can link up with. And you can do that right now, Linda, by linking up with remote groups that are occurring anywhere in the United States or anywhere else in the world, as long as that time zone works for you. And that way you gain the experiential wisdom of what it takes, what's the quality of your presence that's needed to hold the space for someone else to come to their presence. The doing of it and the repetitive doing of it is what establishes and strengthens that capacity in you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds like it would be very helpful. And when you said there's remote groups all around, do you mean for GTP training?
No, there's remote groups for the meditations and the world peace meditation.
And Gita study groups and all these other types of groups, which is where the global training program is to empower people to start groups.
So I sent a message to Satya Priya, so she knows that you're interested in starting meditation groups. They will get in touch with you about what to do. And then what we're going to be doing over the next week, what's going to show up on the website, as well as through all our social media, is a listing of all of the world peace and meditation programs that are happening daily through New Dharma. So that includes Rory and Caroline and other folks who are regularly doing these online that anybody can join at any time. So we want to make that available to everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the best thing you want to do is you start this and you're going online and you will pick up people from all over the world. Yeah. It's an amazing experience.
It's amazing what can happen. It's kind of like a catalytic event where a certain element comes in, then automatically it starts having things happen that are way beyond the capacity of the catalyst itself. So that's what these groups are. So it's by exposing yourself to that vibration in a repetitive way, it starts catalyzing your own system's capacity to do that.
Yes, I understand what you mean. Yeah. And but I also have this understanding, which might not be correct, that I have to have studied with you, Satri, or taken a certain number of retreats before I'm qualified to enroll in the GTP.
Well, yes, and that is something we do because, you can be effective first by developing your capacity as yourself. So I like to have people work with me as an individual so that the capacity that you carry can be enhanced and awakened further, so that when you come to the GTP, that capacity is already primed and ready to go into the larger tangible transmission that starts coming when you hold groups after you've completed the GTP.
So Linda, because I don't have the best memory anymore, how many programs, you've been with Satri at least a year, is that correct? Or close to it?
Close to it.
Okay, have you done a 6-day or a 9-day?
No, I went to the first retreat I went to, and the only one so far was the Tahoe one in November, but I'm registered for the 4-day at Menlo Park.
Okay. My suggestion is if you can join the 9-day online, that is going to put you up, that gives you the qualifications. If you can do that program with us, then that really is one of the biggest qualifications, is to be able to do one of the larger programs.
Yes, so when I did the Tahoe retreat, it was suggested, and that was not now, that was in November, that it would be too much for me to do a 9-day.
Well, and that would be something that you could discuss offline with Satya Priya.
Okay.
Because, there still is quite, I mean, the online live still brings the transmission in there. You'll still be sitting, 3 times a day for 2 hours. You'll still be in evening revelations with Satri. You'll be part of a small group, but it's going to give you the experience you need. So my suggestion to you is you can go online to the website and actually fill out, let's see, where is it? I can send you the link. There is an application for the GTP where you can actually fill it out and get in line. What we don't know right now is when that's going to happen. It was scheduled to be starting April the 25th, and that is not going to happen. We've canceled it because we can't do online. We're now rescheduled for May 23rd. So we're hoping that people will be able to attend in person. But there will also be a fall program happening October 3rd. So there's going to be options. We're not just saying it's going to be once a year and then you can't do anything for the following year. We're going to work with people, to bring you into this so that you can step out and start doing some of this other stuff.
Yes, there's a certain imperative these days. So I invite you, Linda, to take this one because we won't have another long retreat.
Well, we don't know that really.
Until later in the year. And I believe that you'll be okay because the remote does reduce something of the intensity of the force because you're in your own space. You're now surrounded by other people who are also going through the process. So the physical intensity won't be as hard on your system. So I think you'll be fine.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, both of you. I really appreciate it. So beautiful and so helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
You're welcome.
We appreciate it.
Yes, and it's serving everyone who's listening. So
Oh, good. Thank you.
it's perfect.
All right. And I understand Tonya is coming up next.
We have a very special caller.
Woohoo!
Wow, it's a meeting.
Are we coming up from Panama?
Oh, she should be already here, right?
I don't know.
We'll find out. She's not here yet.
Tonya is coming through
Or
the digital world of connection. We'll start talking. Last time that really helped.
Yeah, the issue of participation is really to empower you to be able to become a channel and instrument for this, what I call thought force.
Here she comes. Hey! Meg!
There she is.
Where are you?
I'm in Portland.
You're in Portland. Okay. So are you quarantined for a couple weeks?
Yeah, I got 2 weeks of quarantine after our 6-day-long evacuation.
Jeez.
Oh, God.
We've got people in India that are also stuck.
Yeah.
Can't come back.
So how soon can you come?
I don't know. How soon is this virus going to go away?
Yeah. She's just
we have a room for you,
she
girl.
She just got here. So give
I know.
Give her a break. Yay. You're with us in our heart, no matter
what you do. Thank you. And you guys are too. And it feels really good to just, even though I can't see everybody, I know so many of the people I love so much are on here. And so just hello. Yeah. I'm really happy to see you all, even though I can't see you.
And it's, you didn't have to do the whole Peace Corps. The universe said, enough is enough. Go home.
I got a get out of jail free card.
Get out of jail free card. Okay, so it probably has been a rich and rewarding experience in ways that no human would want.
No one should ever choose to ask for what I asked before I went there.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it strengthened your capacity to meet the unwanted.
Oh my God, I have never met a bigger no in my life.
That's called truth, by the way. That's always how it shows up at first.
Oh,
and then when we meet it, then it becomes ours.
Well, and you obviously met it because you're back in Portland.
Yeah, obviously.
Oh,
so
I met it.
Showing you that you met it.
Yeah.
I know a lot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess what I just wanted to share a little bit, because you guys don't know anything really, and I won't get into it, but after just like a really long, hard year, I finally, like in January, decided that it was time to like ask for help. And that's when I like kind of found myself feeling like I would probably just like die if I didn't start doing something. Like that's how it felt. Like I was just like, I where does this go? I just didn't know where it went if I kept on doing what I was doing. And so like that was when, like, for the first time I like allowed myself to just sort of reconnect to you energetically, both of you, and
Good.
Also John Mark. And also that was like when like Kaisa and Rasmus and just like and Susanna and like a lot of people were in India. So I just was talking to them too and feeling connected through that. And I can't say how much support that gave me to like just kind of like start stepping out of where I was when I decided that I was going to just like open up. It was like universe started flooding in. It was like, great, we've been waiting for you to ask.
Yeah, that's right. Right. We're the ones who choose to allow the universe to come to us. So
Yes.
yeah, something had in some kind of rebellious, resistant, need to be independent at any cost part of you just succumbed to the reality of it.
She surrendered.
You surrendered.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
exactly
I don't think this can get any worse. Like it was so bad, but
yeah. So, but once we surrender, everything can shift. Because
Yeah.
what we're surrendering is the no. We're
yeah.
not surrendering anything but the no, which because our pride or our idea of ourself or our rebellious nature is the no. And once you surrender, all that falls away. Yeah. We're our largest obstacle to progress on this path.
Oh yeah. I was like a huge red flag to myself.
All right. So older and wiser, Tonya has come to us. All right.
Well, a little bit battered and maybe with like a lot more mental health problems, but it's okay.
The guys
They're
in the
just
back room are laughing.
They're just showing themselves they were there all
ABT.
along. You're the one who didn't know they were there.
Oh my God. I was really good at just like not noticing how much anxiety and depression was actually happening. Maybe, I don't know. But I guess like that's kind of what I wanted to ask you about is because so like some really intense things did happen that like my safety was in jeopardy. I had to move houses. Like there was like some kind of like big things that happened that I stopped being able to sleep. I started getting just like a ton of anxiety and depression because I was just like, I do not feel safe. But I didn't really realize how deep I didn't feel safe until I got home to my parents' house. And for the first time in months have actually been able to sleep because there was just I had a really crazy neighbor and he like chopped up my hammock in the middle of the night and like just stuff got bad. And so I just was feeling rather unsafe. And then,
well, I want to speak to that a little bit because we Westerners don't live in the immediacy of the physical danger that we're in certain circumstances. I mean, there's parts, of course, in the world, but certainly where you were in the world, these primitive, dark, uncontrollable forces that are coming from the lower vital plane are much more on the surface. So there is more danger for a single woman to be in those situations than in other places in the world. So the universe is trying to strengthen your ability to be in greater reality to the perishableness of our own existence, but not to create fear, but to wake us up into a greater presence with life. Because when we do, when danger comes, we're less likely to react and more capable of responding in order to neutralizing what's coming. That's you learning to discover the power of your own authority in situations that so far you have not had to meet. But I can understand because you can't do that unless you're connected to your awakened self. You'll retreat to the little girl. You'll retreat to whatever remains in the trauma that hasn't been met or was there in some degree, but now is being blown up because of the circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
It's not.
Yeah, I mean, I found myself kind of paralyzed, just being like, I don't feel safe, not having safe things happening around me. The host family who's supposed to watch out for me is acting weird and is not being supportive. But I almost couldn't let it enter because my best friend during this time and neighbor, she was in a neighboring community. She was the one that just was like, literally, you have to move. Like, I can't have you be here anymore because it's, and I just had to sort of just like go into like, I'm just going to survive this and I'm not going to really let it enter. And so like, I've been processing a lot of that since I even got home because I couldn't recognize how unsafe I felt while I was feeling so threatened.
Okay, very powerful. Very powerful. I got it. It's very, very visceral, very right down into the fundamental reptilian parts of your body. We're carrying that stress.
Yeah. And so then when the evacuation happened, because they told us on Sunday night at 10 p.m. that we needed to be out on the first bus in the next morning. So at 10 p.m. I got the message, and at 7 a.m. I had to be on a bus. So and they told us we were coming back too. So I just didn't even really pack that much. And I left my cat. I just left the house.
You left your whole life.
Yeah. And didn't get to say goodbye to anyone really. And, and then we were put into limbo for like 6 days, where we were in a hotel in Panama City, just quarantined for like 5 days, 200 volunteers, while they were trying to organize flights out, but they were evacuating 7,000 volunteers globally. So logistically, It was a bit of a nightmare. And, but I started getting panic attacks, because there was one day where there was like, they told us 4 different times that we were going to be leaving that day. And so like I was packed, ready to go. And then 10 minutes before leaving, they're like, actually, that plane got canceled. Like, okay, well, we're leaving at 3. Okay, no, that got canceled. Okay, we're leaving at 6. Okay, wait, no, we're leaving tomorrow. And it just like it just kept going. And I'd never really experienced a panic attack like this before, where I just like started like dry heaving. It was just like, and good thing that this good girlfriend of mine was around, and she just was able to help like ground me. And because I think, and then that happened like 3 times during the evacuation, because then we finally got a charter flight to Miami, but then we had to stay another night in Miami before I could even get a flight to Minneapolis, to then Portland. And this whole time I'm sleeping like 3 hours a night, and I'm just not really okay.
You got it. Now, what you should do right now is just breathe. Just breathe.
Got it.
Because we've really got it. And I know that this has to be something you get. This is a spinning off that has to happen in order for you to settle, because literally you were right in one of those points of failure in our system's ability to meet the challenge of this current peril. So you were right there in the cauldron of that process. So you carried something of the frenzy that's in the collective consciousness in your body. So, this too is strengthening your system in ways, grounding you in ways that could not have done it if you continued living your life in the West. So know that this has happened for a purpose, and that this integration process will take some time, and heal yourself, and know that it will serve ultimately.
So
Yeah.
I guess like that was one of my questions, is that, so since then, so Rasmus also like mentioned perhaps like that I'm taking on, also like collective things that are happening, but because like yesterday it was morning, it was like 9 a.m. and all of a sudden I just like was like gripped with nausea. I wasn't reading news. I wasn't doing anything, just like super nauseous, and just like, again, just like dry heaving for 15 minutes, just like so much anxiety, but like, yeah, I don't know. Like, it's just,
Okay. So right now, it's really an energetic process. So become aware of yourself sitting right there. Breathe. Okay. Feel the energy in your body. I can feel the frenzy. I can feel it. So it has a location in your body. And I want you to open up your grounding cord from your first chakra all the way to the center of the earth. And I want you to just start sending that whirling distress down all the way to the lower chakras, all the way down 3,500 miles to the center of the earth. Let it go all the way down. It is not yours. I agree. It is something you've taken on unwittingly. You can empty yourself of any responsibility of being any way, because you are now safe. You are now safe. So let that safety be what you bring in. So just work on this for a bit and see how that goes.
Yeah, it's just like, it just is like, it feels like a stormy, swirling vortex around of like particles around like my heart or something.
Okay, so I'm there with you. Just keep directing all that frenzy, all that whirling. Keep allowing your body to feel it and let it go down deeper. But so you're pulling it in. You're not expanded. You're pulling it in. Pulling it into you. You're pulling in your aura. You're pulling in your field. Close to your body where the energy is in your body, because you can do something with it when it comes into your body. You can direct it down and empty it out. Send it down. Grounding it. Yeah, it's very hard to organize yourself when you're scattered in 1,000 pieces. But much of it's awareness.
Mm-hmm.
It can put in, your heart can handle this better than your awareness. So can you feel your heart now?
Yeah, I think that I need to do that probably for about 3 weeks straight.
Okay, well, you got your face. What you did is you took a bite of the poison apple, and it was part of your personal experience. So your heart can handle this, and your body definitely can handle it. So when it's up here and the psychic awareness is expanded, you can't do anything.
Yeah.
You have to bring it in, and your heart is your first entry point. Okay, we're going to have to wrap up, Tonya. But
okay, can I just ask you just one more quick question?
Yes.
Because like since I've gotten here to my parents' house, I've also been feeling like the work that happened in wherever I was, Panama. Like there feels like there's like an open channel from like first chakra all the way up. Like I can feel it. Like I'm like, I knew this was happening while it was happening, and now I can just feel it. And so like energy has been also pouring in, and it feels like there's lightning power energy coming into my body. And I don't really know. I like the image is like wanting to like bring it to the ground and ground it. But I feel like I don't have feet. I don't have legs nor feet. I am a creature of the air, and it's not really, I don't.
That's right.
You know?
That's right. And that's what I was saying. The pulling in of your aura, because what you've done is your system is open, but your aura has opened up to serve the universe, which is trying to bring in the higher energy to resolve it. But your body, if it's not grounded, it gets stuck. It gets stuck in your field. So this is critical to be able to ground, because you can do it through the bottom of your feet, not just the first chakra. Anything to bring you back into this more simple physicality. You know, you might do good to take a hot bath. It might be good to put your feet into earth. It might be good to walk out into nature and be there and feel connected to the field of nature to reconnect yourself to your body. So I get you can do this. It'll just take some time because you've been in the battlefield, my dear, for some time. So it's time to refresh yourself. You're not responsible for anything, and the universe will come in, but it will let it come in. You might want to close your seventh chakra, because right now it's like this. You want to close your seventh chakra so it can stay in your body.
Okay.
And don't take on this big energy yet.
Yeah, no, it's all just feeling like a little bit too much.
Yeah, it's too much. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, my dear. It's so good to see you.
Bye. Thank
Look forward to seeing
See you soon.
Love you.
Love
Bye-bye.
you. Cool.
Okay. I think we're going to have to wrap it up. I want to just thank all of you who came online and asked questions. It is the way we integrate what comes through in a way that's relevant, not just for you who asked the questions or shared with us, but for those of you who are listening and allowing for you to get how this actually shows up in people's lives. So thank you. All right, so we'll just sit for 5 minutes. So become aware of your breath, become aware of yourself sitting in your chair. Might be good to take a deep breath. Inhale, exhale. pull back from the expansion of your energy that may have been going on. Pull yourself, be in touch with your body, the experience of your body. Feel yourself sitting there simply, to be simple, to be still and silent. That's where you want to head. Simple, still, silent. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat Shri. All glory to Supreme. May truth manifest. Namaste. Thank you.
Thank you.